Alright, so welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful and exciting tutorial on Streamlit, we're trying to build a very simple app for cleaning tests, right? So this is going to be a test cleaning app that we're trying to see how to build from scratch. So let's see what this app can do. So in case I paste in a test here, you can see that I've done a lot of things here, and I paste the test inside this particular place, right? It's a drag and drop. It's going to read the file and give me the details of the file, right? So you can actually see from the test, the original test here. So this is the original test. Then in case I want to clean this test of a lot of things, I want to remove all the stop words, I want to normalize them, move the numbers, move the URLs, all of these things. We can use this particular app to do that. So you just select what you want to do. So if I click on lowercase test, and I check the process test, you can see that now it's going to convert everything to lowercase, right? Very nice. So let's say I want to remove these numbers from there. I can just go remove numbers. Then it's going to remove all of these numbers we are seeing on the original test from the process test, right? So that is a very nice feature. I'll be trying to see how to do that. In case I also want to remove stop words, I can click this on this. Then it's going to remove all the stop words within our test, right? Very cool. So this is a very simple app if you're trying to build from scratch. It's not yeah, right, so that has converted them to lowercase, that's removed all the stop words. I can also remove all punctuations, remove if there are emails, I can remove them. If there are special characters, I can remove all of them, right? Very simple and very cool. Now after that, after you have finished cleaning your test with the app, you can just come down here, right, and just download your clean test. So let's take off the punctuations and then the URLs, and then let's download the test. You can actually download the test here, right? That is a clean test, and it's going to download perfectly for us. Very nice. So if I open it, this particular file is going to give me the clean test, right, together with the changes I made to my test. That is not the only thing. You can also come down here and just get the analysis of the app. So this is it, right? So that's clean it perfectly well for us. Just taking out the numbers. We forgot to take all of this, but you can do that later on. Very nice. Now let's go back to the test analysis. So under the test analysis, you can just click on test analysis, and then you can see from here that we have all the words, right? The tokens, and then their shape, their part of speech, their tag, their lemma, and the rest, right? So I can actually expand this one. And in case you also want to download this one, you can also download this one as a CSV. Click on it, then we download as CSV. Very simple. That is one of the aspects of the app. You can also get the entire stuff, the part of speech plot for the percentage of nouns, punctuations, pronouns, verbs, and the rest in the app. Then you can also get the word cloud, right? It's going to tell us that it's insufficient, but you can still work on it. So let's face it out. Right, so I face it out, and now it has given us a very nice word cloud, right? So that is a simple app if you try to build from scratch. So let's see how to build this simple app from scratch, right? So just drag and drop. You do your noise removal, cleaning of your test as you wish, and then we are going to download your result in case you want, right? So that's the basic understanding. So let's start building this app from scratch. So I'll go back to my terminal. Then I'm going to create a folder called my test cleaner app, right? I'll move into the test cleaner app. It's supposed to be this option. cd into test cleaner app. As you can see, there's nothing here, right? So I'm going to create a file called app.py, and then I'm going to open this app.py. We are using Streamlit and then pandas, and then we are using NeatText to help us. So in case you don't have any of these packages, you can just go back and install it with this option. So pip install Streamlit, right? Then you also need to install pandas. We also need to install NeatText, and then word cloud for the word cloud, then matplotlib, right? So these are the basic stuff that we need to help us with the app. So Streamlit to build our UI, pandas to help us with our stuff, NeatText for the cleaning, word cloud, and then matplotlib. You can also add Seaborn to it. So these are the packages we need. Okay, so let's start writing some code. So I'll just go back to the app and position everything well. Perfect. So I've set up my place. I'm just going to be importing my packages. So import Streamlit as st, right? That's the most important thing now. Then this is going to be our core package, and then we will also be importing our NLP package, right, to help us with our test clean. So we'll be importing NeatText dot functions as NFS, right? So that's what we're trying to do. Then let's also import our EDA package using pandas to help us with that. So it's going to be import pandas as PD. Perfect, something very simple. Now let's work on our app. So I'll create my main app, which is going to be st.title. Let's call it as test. You modify it later. Cleaning app, right? Then this is going to take in my menu as we always do, which is going to take our home, or you can just call it as test cleaner in case you want test cleaner. Then there's going to be our about, right? Something very simple. Then my choice is going to be st.sidebar.select box. Then I'll pass in my menu and then my menu. Perfect, right? So let's close the app with if main. That is all. So let's do our simple sessions of the app. So the first session of the app is going to be my first choice. So the first one, if the choice is go to test cleaner, you can even call it home if you want, right? Then this is going to be our subheader, because that's my test cleaner app, my test cleaner clean, right? Session, right? Perfect. Then else st.subheader for the about. Perfect. That is all. So everything we'll be doing will be going here, right? Everything I'll be doing will be going here. So let's start with the first option. So we need to create a session to be able to receive from the user. So I'm going to call it as my test file, right? Which in this case is going to be my st.file uploader. Now passing so upload tst file. Then go specify the type. Type is we're only accepting tst file, right? I'm going to say that if the test file is not none, then we will work on bringing whatever I want to do, right? So let's see what we'll be doing. So let's first of all create let's create two sessions. But that's, let's go as my column 1 and then column 2 st.beta columns, right? So it's going to be just two. Let's say with the column 1 I want you to go with st.beta expander. It's going to be the original test, right? Then I'll just bring st.right. Now pass in the test file. So to be able to get this particular test file, we can actually make it like this. We can just call it as, let's say, my raw test, which is going to be my test file dot read. Then we need to decode it, right? Decode to UTF-8. So UTF-8. Something very simple. So that is all that we have done. So let's see what we have done so far to make sure that we are on track. So I'll just go back again to the app. So run it, Streamlit, run app.py. In case you have any question or contribution, you can just put it at the comment section below. And then please don't forget to check the links below for some more materials on Streamlit. So let's go back to the app. So what the app is doing is that you're just using Streamlit as our core to build our UI. You'll be using NeatText to help us with our cleaning, pandas to help us get our CSV in a very nice tabular format. We have created two sessions, the test cleaner and then about. And then from here, we are just created a file uploader session to work on the file uploads. We are receiving only TST file. Then you're saying that if the test is not none, create two beta columns. Then in the first column, I want you to show me the original test, right? So it is opening. That's already open. So I'll copy this particular URL. By default, it's going to use Chrome. It's going to use your default browser to open it. So let's check it out. Perfect. So you see that the drag and drop is there, right? Everything is working as expected. So let's drag and drop a file. I'll use my sample file here. I'll paste it back. here. Perfect. So it's analyzing it. It was able to give us our test. So if I check it out, our test is there as a file upload, right? So we have to actually process it for it to come. Otherwise, it's not going to come, right? So it is giving us as this option. So we have to process it, right? So the test file, this is the class for the test file, which is an upload file manager, right? Which is this one that you are getting from here. But you have to process it here. That is the basic understanding. Without processing it, you can't see it. So I'm just going to change this one from here to the raw test. So I save it and I come down here. Now, if I go with always rerun, you're going to see the test that we uploaded showing, right? Very cool. So the test is showing here, as you can see. That is the first aspect. If I open it bigger, you see I have our original test. So we'll be creating another one for the process test beside it. So I'll come back again. And then let's work on the other one. So this is going to be for the original test. We are not going to touch it. Let's move on to with column 2 with st.beta expander. Let's go with my process test, right? And this is going to be the test we'll be working on, right? So this is going to be our process test. So I'll just go, I can just do the same thing of the test that we have. So let's work on the process test. So I'll come back to the file upload here, just under this place. This is where we put in all the commands. I'm going to say that the first one is that just go with my clean, or let's call this normalize case, right? Then st.checkBoss. Let's go with sidebar.check boss. Now pass in normalize case, right? So if I save it and I come down here, if I go back to the sidebar, you can see that now we have it here, normalized case. That means that it's going to bring them to the same case, right? So how do we apply this particular function to it? So to apply the function, we'll be using an if condition, which is going to be the same thing that we have here. So we have our process test, the test that has been processed, right? The test that has been processed. So let's move this one from here. Let's move this to here, right? So we process the test, and I feel like it's better. Let's try and get the details too. Creating a simple option to bring the details. Let's go to the file name, right? Which is going to be my test file dot name. And let's do the same one for the file size. The same thing we did. So test file dot size. Then you can also do the same thing for the type, right? So file type, it's going to be the test file dot type. Then let's bring this one out, st.write the file details. So if I save it, so at least we have it as an example. So it's giving us an error, but we'll fix it soon. Go back here, pass here. Now if I go back to the app itself, that's why we have the details here, right? At least it is better. This is nice, right? So let's work on this one. It is working. Now for the process test, let's see how to work with it. So I'll come back again, and then I will work on this. So we are encoding the test here. This is where we are encoding the test. Encoding the test here, or we can even bring it down. Anyhow, it's going to be. Let's make it beautiful. Right. So you're just getting the details. You are bringing the details out. Then we are going to encode the test, right? So this is going to be for the processing the test. So encode or decode the test. Right. This is going to decode the test. Now this is our columns. We have our first column and then our second column, and this is going to be the original test, right? So let's work on the process stuff. So we want to be able to, first of all, normalize them. So how do we do that? You can just come back again and say that if the normalize case, then we're going to get our raw test, which is going to take the raw test itself dot, right? That is the process, the decoded test. And I'm just going to go that to lower, right? Now let's bring it out. So st.write my raw test. I save it and I go back to the app. Let's try it out. So you see that we have the normal original test and then the process test. If I go back to the sidebar and I convert it to normalized case, so that automatically the entire stuff has been converted to lowercase, right? That is a basic understanding behind it. So the next option that we'll be working on removing stop words and the rest. So we'll be using NeatText to help us with that, right? So let's work on. So we have imported NeatText. NeatText comes with a lot of features. So there's going to be a link below or around somewhere that is showing about the features of NeatText. So let's explore NeatText briefly. So I can just come back again and go with st.write NeatText NFS, right? So let's go with this. There are. I just want to show you the various things we can do with NeatText. Let's do it here. That's been quite a long time since we did a video on Streamlit. So Python 3.7. Let's import NeatText. I want to show you all the various things we can do with NeatText as NFS. Then if I go with dir of NFS, you can see that we can do a lot of things. You can replace phone numbers, you can remove custom patterns, remove custom words, remove dates, emails, you can remove currency symbols. There are a lot of things you can do. You can remove numbers, you can remove special characters, short words, stop words, right? So that's what we'll be trying to use using NeatText, right? So I'll come back again to the app, and then I'm just going to go back again. It's the same thing here. Going to that, let's say clean stop words. So st.sidebar.checkbox. We are using checkbox to help persist our work, right? So it's going to be stop words. Then do the same thing. Let's say clean. Let's go with, let's say, punctuations. These are the commonest one that we need to always remove. Sidebar.checkbox punctuations. The next one is going to be, let's say, clean emails. st.sidebar.checkbox. So you can add them as you wish, right? Emails. Special characters, so clean special characters. st.sidebar.checkbox. So there are a lot of things you can do, right? So special characters. And let's go with clean numbers. These are all the various things that you may want to remove in case you are trying to do text clean, right? Then let's say numbers. Right, so you can add as much as you want. You can just pick any of them from here, right? Any of them from here and then use it. You can even remove hashtags, in case they are hashtags, remove HTML tags, as many as you want, right? So if I go back to the app that we have done so far, I open it to the sidebar, so now we have all of them. So normalized case, punctuations, stop words, email, special characters, numbers, right? So you can even add URLs, which is also a very common stuff. So clean URLs, st.sidebar checkbox. Then I'll go with my URLs. Right? So let's just pick these simple ones here, right? That's what you're picking. Now, how do we bring these ones here? So I can just come back again and do the same thing. So if clean stop words, then I'll pick the raw test again. The raw test will be using NeatText. So nfs.remove stop words, right? Now pass in my raw test, right? The same thing can be done for the rest. So if clean, let's say numbers or something, do the same thing. So raw test nfs.remove numbers. So these functions are already with the package NeatText function, right? So you don't need to think about it. So Metal is going to do it for you. So let's save it and check it out. So everything is working. Now we have normalized our case. If I go back and I go with, let's say, stop words, it's going to remove the stop words. You can see that automatically it has removed the stop words. In case I want to remove, let's say, numbers, now all these numbers are gone, right? So the numbers within these things are already gone. So our app is working perfectly well, right? So you can keep on adding more features to it as you wish. So let's work on the rest. So if cleaned URLs raw test nfs.remove URLs. So raw test, right? You can add more to it as you wish, right? But let's stop here for now, right? So we have added stopwares, numbers, URLs. Let's add punctuations. If clean punctuations, right, which is very important. Most of the time, that's one of the things we remove. nfs.remove punctuations. I'm passing my raw test, right? Perfect. So the result is going to be saved all the time as raw test, right? Perfect. So you have done the first aspect. Now let's add the feature of being able to download what you have done, right? So after you have finished cleaning everything, how do you download your result, right? So I'll just go back again. Then I'm going to create a simple function to help us with that, right? So this is going to be test downloader. So there's a video tutorial before that you can also check on how to work on test downloads. So what you'll be doing, that will be using base 64. So base 64, right? And then also be importing time to help us with our time string. Then let's create a function called test downloader. So this function is going to take in my raw test that I supply. Then it's going to create base 64 encode it as we saw previously. So base 64 dot base 64 encoder code. Then I'll pass in my raw test. Then I'll encode that particular test. Oh, so the audio went off. So this is going to be a new file name you're creating. So this is going to be a new file name you are creating here, right? And then we are just creating a markdown to show the user that you can download the file. Then inside here, we'll be using the simple format of the data. Then we'll just move on to the file. Then I'll specify the type of file, which is test file. Then the base 64 for the encoding. Then I'll specify that bring this, send over the wire this encoded file, right? That is the basic understanding behind this. So I'll just use format string. So it's going to be my B64, right? Perfect. So what you are trying to do is that you are just passing over the wire through this link, this particular encoded file. Then the file name is going to be here. So new file name. That is all, right? So let's bring it down. So markdown. I'll pass in my href, then on save, allow HTML is called true, right? That is something very simple. So that is a simple function to help us with our file download. So we are encoding our file, our test file, our test string, right? Creating a file name using this time string option. This is going to give us a time string option. Then we are sending over the wire via this, right? This is going to allow us to give the same file name to it. So let's save it and let's try this our function. I'll come down to the process file here. Then I'm just going to go with my test downloader and I'll pass in the raw test. So let's save it and see whether it's working. If I go back again and I check it out, you can see we have it here, right? It's not showing perfectly well, so let's fix that particular issue. So I'll go back again and then we will fix it here. So we fix it by taking off the comma, right? There was a comma here, as you could see there was a comma here, so let's take off the comma, save it, and then let's come back again, and now it's working. So if I click on it, our file has been downloaded, and if I open it, you can see that the text that was here, right, is now showing, right? But this is not encoded properly, so you have to make sure that we encode it properly, right? So we encode it properly by just going this. So sometimes I always make mistakes, so this is what we are doing. The particular type of data is a text file. We are base64 encoding it, sending it over the wire. Let's save it again, run it, let's click on it. Perfect. So our test has been perfectly working, right? So that is a basic understanding. So we are done with most part of the app. So the next option of the app is to work on the test analysis. So apologies for the noise you were hearing behind, but hope we have gotten the point. So the most important thing now is that we have our test downloader to help us convert our test. We have gotten the part of the app that allows us to be able to do our test clean here. Then whatever is being affected, we are just using a simple if condition to render these things using NeatText behind the scene. Then the result is sent over so that the person can download it here, right? Very simple. So we are done with most part of the app. Now let's work on the test analysis aspect of the app. So since we have been doing this test analysis, I'll just copy the code because we have used this code before to make our work easier. So I'll just go back to my GitHub repository. Right, so what I'll do is that I'll just copy those code to save us time. Right, so I'll just paste it here. Then I'll explain them. Right. Okay. So this is, so I'm going to paste this code there. So what this function does is that we are just using spacey and then test blob, right? So we are not using test blob, we are just using spacey. This from the previous video some time ago. So we are just using spacey and then displacey to help us render our test, right? So we are creating a simple function, which if you have been following through the video, you understand this particular function. It's just going to take the test, then it's going to get the token of the test, the shape, the part of speed tag, the lemma, and then the rest, right? We are converting them to a data frame. That is something very simple. Then the same thing can be done for the, that's the main thing, right? But these things are the same function we created here. The same function we created here, I just added this once to it to make it beautiful. And then we created the same thing here, right? But this time we are just using CSV. That is the only difference, right? So there's a whole video on how to work on this aspect of the code. So let's take off this. This is the old one. And let's work on it. So that is, let's save it, come back again. Everything is working as expected. And then we can just go on. The reason I'm just rushing through this is because the most important part of the app has been done already. So the rest is something you have been doing over time. So let's add these particular features to it. So we'll be adding another session in which we can see the plots for the test analysis. So it's going to be with st.beta expander. I'm going to call that my test analysis. Then this is going to give us my result. So let's go to my token result as df. Now use a function that I created, which is a test analyzer function. So this test analyzer function is coming from here, right? So it's going to take in a test, then use spacey behind the scene and give us our result. So I'll come down here. Now passing my raw test, right? So this raw test is coming from here. The raw test that we decoded from here. right? So let's save it and see. I'll come back again. It's working. So for us to be able to see it, you have to actually plot them out. So that it's there, but there's nothing there. So let's bring it out. So it's going to be st.dataframe. I'm passing my token result. If I go back and I check it out, so it's going to render it right for us behind the scene using Spacey. Perfect. So everything is working as expected, right? So the tokens, the shape, everything has been done. So the test analysis has been done. The process test is also working. The original test is also working, right? You can actually make it sure that whatever you process is what you're going to get the result from. You can also do the same thing. Now let's go back again and then let's add the plot for the word cloud. So with st.beta expander plot word cloud. Then we are using word cloud. So in case you don't have word cloud, you can just go with to your terminal. Just go with pip install word cloud, right? And then for Spacey, that is the simplest way behind it to install it on your system in case you don't have it yet. So let's work on the word cloud. So to work on the word cloud, I already created a function which we have been using to help us with the word cloud. So this is a function for the word cloud. So just from word cloud import word cloud, right? Then we are just using word cloud to generate a word cloud. So we pass in the test, we generate a word cloud. Then we are using matplotlib, this particular function here, to help us render it. So this is how to do that. You create a figure, then you pass in your word cloud, then you plot them out, right? So that is a simple function. So I'll come down here, then I'll pass in my plot word cloud. I'll pass in the raw test, right? I can actually even process the test and it's still going to work. So it's working perfectly well. So plot word cloud. First time it's going to be running behind the scene, so you can actually cache them, right? Voila. So that our work is there. You can actually remove the stop words in case you want. So the word cloud is working. Now we have our test analysis. Now let's work on the part of speech. So to work on a part of speech, remember that we can actually use this one, this POS from the test analysis, right? From Spacey to help us with that plot. So let's go back and check it out. So I'll go back again and then let's work on this. So with st.beta expander, I'll just so we can use cborn here. So sns.count plot. So what you are trying to do is that we are using cborn to get the count plot for this, right? Or you can, or for any of them, and it's still going to work. So we already imported cborn here, right? So that's what you're trying to use to help us with our plot. So I'll come back to this place. I'm going to specify that take the token result from here, right? And then get that particular column, POS column, which is referring to this POS column. So it's POS. Perfect. Now plt.sttext to get it. Let's rotation 45. Then now let's do st.py plot. This is coming from Streamlit. I pass in the figure. Let's save it and see what you have done so far. So I've gotten the word cloud. So let's see for the other one. Okay, let's check it out. So it's running it. So C1 has no plot, count plot. Right. So let's go back and check it out. It's count plot, not count plot. That's my mistake on my part. Count plot. Taking some time for it to render, then it's going to result. So you can actually cache this particular plot, right? S6. I think I'm making a lot of mistakes. Then it's going to come, making sure that everything is working well. Yeah, so we're creating a figure. We are using the count plot from Seaborn to render that particular plot, rotating the axis and then rendering it out. Perfect. So our app is working, right? So we have seen how to build this simple app from scratch. So let's recap. So the simplest way behind all that you have done, before we recap, let's make the option of downloading this one, right? So we just use the same function we created above, which is going to be the make download function. I'm passing my token result df, right? So this make downloadable is the same function we have been using over this same function. It's a modified function of this, but this time you are converting the data that you are receiving to CSV, then you are passing it, you are encoding it to base64, then doing the same thing that we did, right? So there's no change. So if I go back, now it's there, click on it, we can download our result as CSV, as you can see. Perfect. So that is all. So let's recap on what you have done so far. So all that we need to do is that we just imported Streamlit, our core package, NeatText to help us with our test cleaning, then pandas to help us with our conversion of our file to a data frame. Then we use base64 and timestamp to help us create a simple downloader, which is this particular function here, to help us download our test. Then do the same thing for the CSV, right? Perfect. Then for working on a word cloud, we just imported Seaborn, Matplotlib, and then word cloud. We passed in our test, we rendered it as word cloud, right? Then for the rendering of our test analysis, we just use Spacey. We do not use displace, so you can just take it out because you don't use it, right? It can be another time. Then we just created a simple function to help us with that. You are passing it, creating an NLP object, then getting the tokens, the shape, converting them to a data frame, and this for the entities we did not use it. You can also add it if you want, because of copy and paste. Yeah. So this is how it works, right? And then we just created our main app. We created two choices: the test cleaner option, and for the test cleaner option, we are just uploading a file here. We are only receiving TST file. Then we just created some simple checkbox to help us with our clean of our test, using NeatText behind the scene. If the checkbox is selected, I want you to process that particular file, right, using the if condition. So if normalized case, convert to normalized case. If clean stopwares, remove stopwares, then the result is returned back here. So that is a basic overview of this simple app we have built. So thank you for watching this tutorial. In case you have any question or contribution, you can just put it in the comment section below. And apologies for how it went so fast at the end of the tutorial. See you another time. Stay blessed. Bye.